Thank you for your patience. We're going to call this the August meeting of Lenoir County Board of Education to order. We will recognize Mr. Harvey for the invocation.
Thank you. Let us pray. May the words spoken in this room tonight be beneficial to the students, parents, staff, and administrators in our school system. And may we be led by the guiding principle to always base our decisions on the best interests of our young people. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is the approval of the agenda for this evening.
Tonight we submit the agenda for your review and approval.
Motion to approve the board agenda as presented.
Motion by Mr. Hill, second by Mr. Nobles. Any further discussion regarding the agenda? And we'll call it for a vote. All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, raise your right hand. All opposed? And Mr. Smith, Merwin Smith, is participating by video conference, and he did raise his right hand, just for the record. So we can actually see him tonight. The next item is the board chair comments. I really don't have any comments for this evening. We're going to move right to the superintendent's announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my great pleasure this evening to recognize several of our staff members and our schools and our students for achievements. This summer, Woodington teachers Tiara Jones and Sarah Nider completed the OSHA 10 certification and the Lean Six Sigma White Belt training at Spirit Aerosystems facility here in town, conducted by Lenoir Community College. OSHA 10 provides training for workers and employees on the recognition, avoidance, abatement, and prevention of safety and health hazards in workplaces. White Belt workshops are geared toward providing fundamental comprehension of the Lean Six Sigma outline involving process improvement, variability, process performance, and the specific roles that different team members play. So congratulations to Mrs. Jones and Ms. Nider. On July 20th, 2016, the North Carolina Association of School Business Officials awarded Mrs. Leslie Rouse, our federal programs coordinator, a certificate of completion for training as the NCASBO Certified School Business Director. Honor. There were 3 tiers. It was a very nice, reception. Actually, more of a dinner hosted by this organization and by Dr. June Atkinson, State Superintendent, and those earning certificates of completion and at the achievement levels were honored. Mrs. Rouse was honored with the highest level, highest designation they have, which is director. So, if Ms. Rouse, would you stand and let's give her a round of applause. She received comprehensive training over a 2-year period, I think, comprehensive training in the area of school finance. Ms. Jessica Scheimer, and I'll ask her to come forward in a moment, Career Development Coordinator for our school system, was named North Carolina's CTE Career Guidance Professional of the Year for 2015-2016. Mrs. Scheimer was honored with the award during the summer conference of the NC Association of Career and Technical Education in July. She represented the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction District 2, comprised of 12 southeastern counties, and competed against 5 other regional winners. Winning the state award puts Mrs. Scheimer on a path to represent North Carolina in competition for the Southeast United States Regional Award next spring. An LCPS employee since 1998 and a Career Development Coordinator since 2007, Mrs. Scheimer is president of the NCACTE's Guidance and Career Development Division, a certified global career development facilitator, and a member of the NC Marketing School of Hall of Fame. She does an outstanding job for us, and she is passionate about her work, and we really appreciate Mrs. Scheimer, all that you do. We appreciate you and all that you do for this school system and our students every day. At this time, I'll ask the board chair and vice chair to join me and Mrs. Scheimer to come up, and we'll present you with this plaque that says Career Guidance Professional of the Year for North Carolina.
All right, ready? On three. One, two, three. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Six members of the Lenore County Public Schools Child Nutrition Department brought home awards from the culinary competition at the annual School Nutrition Conference for North Carolina held recently in Greensboro. Winners were Shanetta Pitt, LaGrange Elementary School, first place entree salad and best of show trophy in the overall entree category. Dorotha Sutton, Whittington Middle School, third place miscellaneous whole grain. Terry Hill, Pink Hill Elementary School, second place commodity vegetable, and third place commodity fruit. Ada Hood, North Lenore High School, second place entree salad. Maybelline Moore, Rochelle Middle, second place miscellaneous whole grain. And Nivea Mosley, Pink Hill Elementary, second place sandwich meal plate. So congratulations to all of our winners from the Child Nutrition Department. Let's give them a round of applause. Our principals, Brian Corey, Amy Jones, Patrick Philippi, and Gil Respis, graduated from the North Carolina Principals and Assistant Principals Association Distinguished Leadership in Practice Program on July 28th. It was a great event last week. I went to Chapel Hill on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill at Carolina Club. They were honored with a nice luncheon, and their professors from East Carolina were there, and the representatives from NC Papa were there, and they bragged on, I will say they bragged on our group. The entire group was good, but we had more people graduating from that program than anyone, and I was very proud of them. If you all would stand, and let's give these leaders a round of applause. U.S. News and World Report a while back named Lenore County Early College High School as one of America's best high schools. That announcement was made. Well, the plaque actually has arrived, and the Early College has been featured in U.S. News and World Report as one of America's best high schools in that edition. It's a great honor. I will ask current Early College principal, Ms. Diane Heath, outgoing current associate superintendent, but former Principal Mr. Nicholas Harvey, and our board chair and vice chair to join me as we present this plaque to Mr. Harvey and to Mrs. Heath. Lenore County Public Schools was officially notified by Advanced Ed Accreditation Department for North Carolina that our district was accredited under review. As a system under review, we remain fully accredited, and according to the new process for support with Advanced Ed organization, we will receive ongoing support, and they will host an on-site accreditation progress review within 1 year. The on-site review will be held during the month of April 2017, and the accreditation progress review is due March 15, 2017. At our principals and directors meeting tomorrow, we'll be distributing the accreditation certificate posters to each of our schools. So congratulations to all of our schools for their hard work in earning the accreditation, re-accreditation. LCPS Administrative Retreat was held at Trinity Center, the Episcopal Retreat in Salter Path, North Carolina on July 17th through the 19th. It was I felt very good about this retreat. I felt that it was some retreats are very broad in what they deal with. This was a very specific retreat, and we really kept our, if you will, our main thing, the main thing. We focused on instruction, we focused on our instructional deficiencies, on what we're not doing well. We admitted where we are, and that's an important step for any school system. It's particularly important for us. We have some intense student achievement deficiencies that we need to address and that we're planning to address. We started that planning process in a deeper and a more thorough way than we've done at any point in my memory, and I feel very proud of the hard work that our team members have done, and I'm proud of the plan that we're developing. So very proud of that. First day of school for students is Thursday, August 18th. First day for staff members. The first day of school for students is Monday, August 29th. I think we might get some calls on that one. Let me be very clear. The first day of school for staff members is Thursday, August 18th. Students, your first day is August 29th. I think that one might have been controversial. The September board meeting will be held Thursday, September the 6th, 2016. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. We prefer to have the staff there before the students.
That's a good
if
thing.
we can help it.
Usually it's a good thing.
Next item is public comment. And I understand we do not have anyone signed up this evening, so we will move to the presentation portion of our agenda. I think we have a presentation concerning the 2016 Administrative Retreat by Ms. Herring.
So Mr. Williams mentioned in his announcements that we had our legislative retreat. We have some legislation we'd like to pass. Our administrative retreat was at Trinity Center in Pine Knoll Shores just a few weeks ago in July. And we have a daunting task ahead of us, but as Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. The whole purpose for the retreat was to focus on building continuous improvement. We know that we are a low-performing district, and that is our focus. And we won't stop until we are out of low-performing status. One of the main things that we came to consensus on during the retreat were common expectations. And some of these things may seem very simple. They may seem like things that we do anyway, but they are very simple. It's basic practice, basic best practices for school and district transformation. And we simply did not have some of these things in place, but I'm going to share with you what we are going to do and where we're headed. We spent most of the summer, we started the third week in June, and we've been drafting new curriculum guides aligned with the North Carolina standards, also previously known as Common Core. And we've written new curriculum guides for reading and math, kindergarten through 8th grade, and for the tested areas in high school, with the goal that over the next year we'll include curriculum guides for all the other subject areas, for science and for social studies. The curriculum guides are non-negotiable for us. They're what we call a tight expectation. We expect every teacher to follow the curriculum guides as they're written. They will include common formative assessment, so it's going to be very important that the curriculum guides are followed, because we have a pacing included in the curriculum guides which will lay out the standards. And so it'll be very important that they follow the curriculum guides as they're written, so that we have the common formative assessments. The students have had access to those standards. Lesson plans may seem like a very simple thing, but this is going to be a tight expectation from us at the district level and from the principals. So we've created a lesson plan template, and we'll be sharing it with our principals tomorrow, with the expectation that the teachers will use the curriculum guides to draft their lesson plans in this particular template. And the reason for that is we have to ensure that children are given access to the standards. We know that teachers are planning. We know they're planning. We know they're writing lesson plans. We just want to make sure that they're the best they can be. And we need to have the ability to review those lesson plans and make sure everybody's on the same standards. And we have procedures and processes in place for that. And we'll be going over those with the principals tomorrow in the principals meeting. We are building a walkthrough instrument that will be used on a weekly basis by all principals in their buildings. We have 3 schools where we are piloting the walkthrough instrument. We have an elementary, middle, and high school. They're piloting the instrument through the month of September. And then at the end of September, we'll gather with those principals and teachers to get feedback on the walkthrough instrument. And any adjustments or tweaks that need to be made, we will do that with the understanding that October 1st is when the walkthroughs will commence district-wide. The data collected on the walkthroughs will be gathered on a Google Doc, which we will be able to review and read at a common district level, because as the walkthroughs are done, the data will be entered into the Google Doc immediately, so we'll have immediate feedback. One of the things that was very, very important with regards to our retreat was making sure that everything we were doing was data-driven. And our test scores are very significant data. And Mr. Williams mentioned earlier in his superintendent's comments that we're being very honest about our data. And we're not sugarcoating anything, and we're owning it for what it is. And so I'm going to spend a few moments going over an overview of the 15-16 data, just so you can get an idea of what we're dealing with from the past school year. But knowing that it's not official data yet, it's not been officially released by DPI. It'll be released, we understand, in September. And once that data is released, we'll have an official presentation for you on the data specifically. We'll drill down school for each individual school and subject area for you. So I'm just going to give you an overview. I'm just going to talk about trends that we looked at during the retreat to help guide our planning of our framework. And another huge piece to building continuous improvement in Lenore County is the curriculum department has been restructured. And so we certainly are very appreciative of that, but we finally feel like we're in a place where we have all the right people in place with an elementary, middle, and high school director to help guide specifically the needs that we have. And then I mentioned common formative assessments. So we're going to build at the district level every 9 weeks. There will be a common formative assessment that the students will take that will help us guide where we need to stop and reteach, or if we can move forward. But we don't want to leave any children behind, and we won't know if we're leaving children behind if we don't have this common assessment that tells us what they have or have not been able to access. So the data analysis for 3rd through 8th grade, there were some positives and there were some challenges. The positives, when you look at the data from the 3rd through 8th grade in both math and reading over the last 3 years, there's been a steady increase in proficiency every year. That is great news. So the past 3 years in reading and in math, 3rd grade through 8th grade, there's been a steady increase. It's fabulous. We're very excited about that. We're doing something right, okay? We're making progress. We're doing good things. The challenging part of that, though, is when you look at the data as a whole, the proficiency scores in math and reading, 3rd through 8th grade, are still below the 15-16 state average. So when you see what the state average is for this past school year, while we've grown every year for the past 3 years, we've still not reached the state average. So the positive data trends, I just want to show them to you. So for, you see where I have listed 3rd grade reading, 4th grade, 5th grade reading, and then I have 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade math at the bottom. I looked at the 12-13 school year, and those were our proficiency levels in 12-13. And then 3 years later, I have our proficiency percentages in that column, and I added and gave you the growth that we made in percentage points. Okay, in percentage points, there's a significant difference there. But you can see where we've made significant gains. We've grown every year for the past 3 years. So that's great news. But the negative data trends with regard to the same data is if you look at how we did, how Lenore County Public Schools, the proficiency, this is unofficial, but the unofficial proficiency ratings for Lenore County Public Schools compared to the North Carolina state standards, we were below in all of them. So we have significant growth, particularly 4th grade math. We were 15.5 points below the state average. 5th grade math, 12.3 points. You can see we definitely had some, we had challenging issues. The data analysis for high school, they were only tested in 3 subjects in high school, English 2, Math 1, and Biology. So the positives, it's going to sort of underscore and reiterate the successes at Lenoir County Early College High School. The positives is at the early college, the English 2 scores were well above the state average this past year. So that was great news. The Math 1 scores at the early college were above the state average this past year. That's great. Kinston High School's Math 1 scores grew 5.1 percentage points from 14-15 to 15-16. So we had an area where we were making some gains. The challenges with regards to the high school data is that the overall Math 1 proficiency in Lenoir County Public Schools has been well below the state average for more than 3 years. This is an intense area of need for us, this Math 1. The overall English 2 proficiency in Lenoir County Public Schools has been well below the state average for the past 3 years. This is also an intense area of need. And unfortunately, no high school in Lenoir County has met the state average in biology for the last 3 years. And that is an intense area of need. So the high school data trends here have been put together in a neat chart for you so you can see them: biology, English 2, and Math 1. In biology, we really didn't have any high school to celebrate any successes. There wasn't any high school that was able to exceed the state average. So I don't have a high school listed there. In English 2 and in Math 1, like I just mentioned, the early college exceeded the state average, and I have that included. But from 12-13 to 15-16, we've in some areas made growth, and in some areas we've been up and down. But at the end of the day, we've still not met the state average. So looking at all of this data, talking about our framework, talking about lesson plans, talking about curriculum guides, talking about learning targets, talking about common formative assessments, all of the ingredients that we know, if they are implemented with fidelity and are inspected like we expected, we know that we're going to make growth. We know that we're going to come out of low performing, but it's not going to be without hard work and dedication across the board. So we took all that into consideration when we were reviewing the Lenoir County Public School goals, our district goals. We knew that we were at a time with new administration and with new, and with our designation and knowing that we have significant growth to make in our testing, that we needed to redo our goals to align with that. So we spent a significant amount of time at the retreat taking all of that information together, and we have narrowed our goals down to 3, and we are sharing them tomorrow with the principals at the principals meeting, with the expectation that they'll have an instrument, a Google document that they will take back to their schools so they can get feedback from their stakeholders in their building. We want feedback from teachers, we want feedback from parents, we want feedback from custodians, bus drivers. We want feedback from everyone on these goals. And once we get that feedback, we will adjust and tweak the goals as necessary to make them appropriate as they need to be, and then we will present those goals to you, of course, for approval. So as soon as that process is over, we'll get those to you. So we did a lot of work. We know that we've got a lot to do, but we reviewed there was a exit survey that the principals and administrators completed at the end of the retreat, and I think it would be fair to say that every principal and director that walked away felt like it was one of the most meaningful retreats that they've ever participated in, and they feel like we made some really great gains, and that good things are going to come from the retreat. So, are there any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Herring.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Herring. Next item is the financial report, Ms. Davis.
Good evening. The financial report reflects the year-to-date activity by providing the revenue and expenditure information as to all the sources of funds received and expended by fund and purpose as of July 31st, 2016. Please note that the beginning fund balance is before the final year-end audit adjusted entries. And I did post the payables up to as of yesterday, so it's reflected on the payables we had in at this time. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Davis tonight? All right, well, then we'll move to the action portion of our agenda. Ms. Davis, I'm sure you're here for the budget resolution.
Yes,
I guess
sir.
this is number one. Or is this just the actual, I'm sorry, it's the budget resolution for 2016-17.
And this is we finally received our allotments, so this is our actual budget. It's the 2016-17 budget. We received our initial allotments from DPI on our state funds, and it includes the planning allotments plus the carryover on the federal funds. It also reflects the changes from the planning allotments to adjust retirement and hospitalization to the approved legislative rates. The other local budget was adjusted from the planning budget to reflect the actual carryover amounts also. Do you have any questions on the budget?
And this budget actually reflects the increase in local funding that was provided by the
It
county
does.
commissioners. I think
It
it was an
does.
additional $200,000.
Yes,
Is that right?
that's correct.
Let me say again, we certainly appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
It's going to allow us to do a lot more things this year.
Any questions?
Questions for Ms. Davis? We'll entertain a motion to approve the budget resolution for 2016-2017. Somebody will make one.
Motion to approve the 2016-17 budget resolution as presented. It says 27.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hill, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any further discussion about the budget resolution? Then we'll call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, it is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Appreciate your hard work on that. Next item is Lenoir County Learning Academy Alternative Schools Accountability Model.
Our newly named principal at the Learning
Just waiting.
Academy is going to present his options.
Good evening.
And congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Because the alternative schools have such a transient populations and a wide array of student needs, the North Carolina State Board of Education approved a policy for accountability model, which only applies to alternative schools. This model does not assign school performance grades to alternative schools. Instead, alternative schools are allowed to choose from 4 different options in order to participate in the alternative schools accountability model. The school improvement team at the Lenoir County Learning Academy wishes to select option C as its model for the 2016-17 school year. And that's the model we've been doing the last 2 years. Option C is the progress model, which looks at 3 different components. It looks at student persistence, student achievement, and growth. Student persistence is measured as the percent of students still enrolled in school anywhere in North Carolina and at the end of the school year. Student achievement is based on the percent of students who are proficient on the assessments, and the growth part is based on EVOS data. So the staff at Lenoir County Learning Academy is asking that you approve their selection of option C as our accountability model for the 2016-17 school year.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Whitfield on that?
Motion to approve, option C.
Motion by Mr. King. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any further discussion on the accountability model option chosen by the Lenore County Learning Academy? All right. Having no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. It is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Whitfield. Next item is the exceptional children's contracts. Ms. Roach or staff?
Yes, he is.
Ms. Hill.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight I bring forward an action item for your approval for 2 contracts for the Exceptional Children's Department. The first contract is for occupational therapy services for 1 full-time and 1 full-time occupational therapy assistant for the entire county. The second contract is for speech services for 1 full-time speech therapist and 1 full-time speech therapy assistant for 5 schools. Do you have any questions?
They're about the same prices that were last year too, huh?
Yes, they are. We have gone up a little bit in numbers in the OT area, but it's kind of the same.
And are we still staffing these positions at about the same level, or have we reduced that? Are we same number of therapists for our schools?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll entertain a motion to approve the exceptional children's contracts.
Motion to approve.
A motion made by Mr. King. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Davis. Any further discussion on the contracts? All right, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand.
It's a good time to be here.
It is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hill. Next item is surplus property. Mr. Harvey.
Yes, sir. Before you tonight are 2 requests. The first request, the technology department has computers and other equipment that exceeded the life expectancy and usefulness of the devices. Can no longer be used in a classroom or at school. It is recommended the property be declared surplus and discard or sell with the proceeds returned to the school system. That's the first one, technology. And I think there are pictures in your packet of this summer.
Is there any place that wants those things?
Oh, my gosh.
They're just,
I haven't looked at that yet.
No good.
I know they look like that. Okay.
And we do have a technology recycler that any items that are of any value, the technology department works with a vendor, and we actually do recoup some money from those things. It's in large quantity, of course, but if there's anything like old monitors and everything, that once we get a certain quantity, the vendor will pay us per unit. We get a check back from them, but we have to have it declared surplus for sale or disposal first.
Okay, I was just looking at this stack of them we got
Mr.
plenty.
King, yes, to answer your question, it is.
Thank you.
Yes, was it located at Rochelle?
I thought I'd seen that pile.
Yeah.
Well, the pile keeps growing. That pile's probably gone, but 2 weeks later, there's another
That's a
one.
big pile.
It is a
We're
big
still
pile.
engaged in a 2-year process of getting, divesting ourselves of things that have been at the back of classrooms and in storage rooms all around the school system.
The second item, the maintenance department has requested 3 North Monroe High School cafeteria cooling and heating units that will be replaced with new units. Since the old units have no value, approval is requested to declare them surplus and salvage them, returning any proceeds to the capital outlay budget. I think there are pictures of those units as well.
All right, any questions from Mr. Harvey on that issue? All right, we'll entertain a motion to have them declared salvage.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Nobles. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any further discussion? We'll call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, they're declared surplus. The vote was unanimous for the record. And I just keep saying that because Mr. Smith is raising his hand.
I'm waiting, that's good.
So for the record, I'll let you know if he doesn't raise his hand. We'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I move that Lenore County Board of Education go into closed session on North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files, to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege, and to consider matters relating to initial employment of the individual employee.
Motion by Mr. Hill, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nobles. All in favor going into closed session, raise your right hand. All right, we are now in closed session. Thank you.
Hey, I told you.
All right,
No.
we are now back in open session. You good back there?
Earn that big pay.
All right, the first item is we will entertain a motion to approve the monthly personnel report.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recluse myself from this nomination because of family member only.
All right, Mr. Noble's going to recuse himself for a family member being on this one. Do we have a motion to approve the personnel report?
Motion to approve the personnel report.
All right, motion by Mr. Hill. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Davis. All in favor of approving the personnel report as presented, raise your right hand. That's unanimous except for Mr. Nobles, who's abstaining. Now we'll entertain a motion to approve the addendum to the personnel report.
Motion to approve the addendum as presented.
Motion by Mr. Hill, second.
Second.
All right, second by Mr. Nobles. All in favor of the addendum to the personnel report, raise your right hand. All right, that's approved unanimously. Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to recognize our two newest administrators. First with us that we named at last board meeting, but she was being held for employment by another county. But today is her first day on the job as our middle school director. Ms. Tracy Cole, if you could stand, welcome to our school system. Glad to have you, Ms. Cole. And second, the assistant principalship. I know Mrs. Dunn has been eager to fill this position. Every day she's been coming in saying, can I have someone today? Is there anyone? Can they start today? Can they start today? It's our great honor to name Ms. Shauna Connor for the position of assistant principal at Rochelle Middle School. So,
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Anderson. Do we have a second?
Tell the story.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nobles. All in favor, raise your right hand. We are now adjourned. Thank you.